We hear the expression, information is power. Here you see that principle in action at South Seattle Community College. These students are gathered for a workshop on how to fund a college education. In particular, this group is learning about scholarships, one of many funding options.
All of these websites lead you to literally hundreds of scholarships.
In this video, you will meet 3 students. All of them have discovered different and successful ways to pay for school. We begin with Dan Wu. She's here today to listen.
So get out there and get those scholarships.
Well, I was in the ESL.
And Dan is here to speak as well, to share a remarkable story with her fellow students.
I thought I was so unlucky because I wasn't born in a rich, wealthy family who can just give you the money and then go to school. You can do whatever you want. You don't even have to have an education. But later on, I realized if you really work towards your goal, you're going to get it.
Scholarship,
And get it, she has. An immigrant from China, Dan moved to the U.S. in 2004. She's an English as a second language or ESL student. Now Dan is a 3-time scholarship recipient. She's been awarded as an outstanding student, and she's a graduate of South Seattle Community College with an AA degree in business. Now Dan continues her education in a 4-year school.
Like I was working 2 jobs and studying full-time. And then I was not an A student. I was like a 3.4, 3.5. I was not a 4.0 student like what people think.
Dan has become quite skilled when it comes to applying for scholarships, and she's passing along that experience. The money is out there, and it's up to each individual student to be proactive and find it. She has done a few things to ensure her success, and these are things that you can do too. First, don't assume you don't qualify for scholarships. There are many out there, and not just for those with the highest GPAs. Dan also treated it like a job. When you are faced with the application process for scholarships, remember that the money you could receive will make the hard work worth it. And finally, tell your story. Dan surely thought her story was humble and not unique, but considering what she and you have overcome, it became clear to the scholarship committee that she was deserving of support in getting her education. We'll return to Dan's story in a moment and learn how she's inspired her own mother on the path to higher education. First, though, you're in the campus coffee shop at South Seattle Community College. This busy young man is student Vincent Beardsley. His job here is a part of the work-study program. He eventually wants to own his own restaurant. Vincent is enrolled in the culinary program, and financial aid is a big part of Vincent's success.
The actual paperwork itself was pretty easy and straightforward. It's just making sure that you have everything in, because there's lots of little details that they need.
Vincent got started with the work retraining program, which paid for initial tuition and supplies for the first quarter.
All right.
Vincent is also the recipient of financial aid, which he learned about through a friend who inspired him.
A few years back, when I had gotten a phone call from one of the guys at North Seattle, he had said that both him and his wife had gone back to school at the same time, and they had a child that they were raising, and they were able to support the both of them going through school with financial aid. So that in itself gave me a lot of hope.
Vincent's path to financial aid wasn't easy. In fact, it was confusing at first. He didn't know that different colleges may have different financial aid deadlines, and he ended up going by another school's calendar.
And it turns out that the schools aren't on the same deadlines for financial aid. So when I came to drop my paperwork off here, figuring that I was about a week or so early from the deadline, it turned out I was about 10 days late.
It all worked out, though. And now, Vincent knows the importance of those deadlines. He credits his wife with helping him navigate the financial path back to school.
I was at kind of a low spot in my life before I got myself back into school, and her actually getting the paperwork filled out for me was a definite boost for my morale and everything, and sort of a kick in the right direction.
But Vincent will tell you that even with financial aid, working, supporting a family, and attending school is no easy matter. He learned some valuable lessons, and you can learn from them too. Remember to know the financial aid office deadlines for your school and do the work early on to meet them. Also make sure that you turn in all the paperwork the financial aid office needs from you by the deadline. Often this is more than just the FAFSA, financial aid form. It may seem like a lot of work the first time around, but it is also incredibly worthwhile.
So we are literally scraping by, but I know that there's no way that I'd be able to be doing this without financial aid at this point.
Hey guys, how you doing?
30-year-old Mike Cheransap is another financial aid success story. Mike came to the U.S. from Thailand with his mother when he was just 8 months old. Here, Mike is making some new friends in the Cultural Center at South Seattle Community College.
Obviously, yeah, cooking.
Mike tried college once before.
I went to North Seattle, and I was taking an accounting class, nutrition class, and an English class. And it was just the wrong time. It was just the wrong time in my life that I decided to go back to college. I tried, but it just didn't work out. So I had to drop all my classes.
And there have been some other false starts for Mike as he worked to get back into school. But through it all, Mike has gained an important insight about successfully funding a college education. He says it's personal.
I think when you get in college, it's all about you. You can't really expect someone to kind of push you along and, just, hey, you need to do this. You need a lot of self-motivation. I was wondering if there's any tutoring services.
So with self-motivation and perseverance, Mike has come to arrange a very comprehensive funding program.
Well, the program that I'm in, the Basic Foods, they're actually funding me for a whole year. And I know some other programs only fund you for a quarter. I'm very fortunate.
Then here's some instructions on how to do that.
Like Mike, you might also be eligible for other types of funding beyond scholarships and federal or state financial aid. Depending on your personal circumstances, there is funding for people making a career change, for people with financial need, and for those who have lost their jobs. There are often many other sources of funding, so ask about other funding sources at your college. Ultimately, Mike will go on to get a bachelor's degree in hospitality management. His goal? Well, one day you may just see a restaurant with Mike's name on it.
Oh, my passion for food. I love eating food and I love cooking. So I love to cook for people. Yeah, it makes me feel good.
And back for a moment to the story of Dan Dan Wu. She's the outstanding student and 3-time scholarship winner, studying currently at a 4-year school. As we've seen, Dan Dan is a speaker at this workshop full of students who have questions about applying for scholarships. Dan Dan shares her tips and the story of her mother, who inspired Dan Dan, is now enrolled in college pursuing a higher education.
So she's gonna tell all of her, classmates who are my age or whoever who wants to go to a college and who doesn't know where to start. And she's gonna tell them, like my daughter was the same way as you are. She didn't have anything. She didn't speak a lot of English, and we didn't have the money to send her to school. But right now, she is at school, and then she's doing great. She's getting her bachelor's degree. Maybe she's gonna get her master's. Who knows?
And finally, Dan Dan has some words of inspiration for you. Maybe you will follow her lead as you plan to fund your education.
But right here, I realized one thing. I want to be independent, and I am. So I do everything I can do. I ask help whenever I need to. I don't just expect people to help me. It's something you have to really work on and then ask for help.
Dan Dan is wise beyond her years. She's already walked the path to successfully funding her education. And you can too. As we've learned today, it involves asking for help, getting the information, finding and filling out the correct forms, meeting the deadlines, and taking ownership of your personal strategy for funding your education.
No problem. I'll see you in class tomorrow.